Hi, I'm Mark Levinson. I'd like to introduce you to Chris Rose in Dallas, Texas. Chris is starting the first Daniel Hertz mono brand showroom in the United States, and I'd like to share his story with you and have him tell us more about what he's doing. Uh, Chris, maybe you could tell everyone how we met.
Well, good morning from Dallas, Texas, Mark. And it was an interesting connection that you and I shared. Um, I've been kind of intrigued from a friend about Daniel Hertz, and it just so happens that I became a member of a hi-fi audio club, hi-fi buddies and the DFW hi-fi audio club. And as a part of that, as a member, I was given the honor of being able to participate in a listening session, understanding that, you were coming to Dallas, Fort Worth. And I took advantage of that and signed up for it. And it happened sometime, I think the third week of April. And I got the opportunity to meet you and your lovely wife. But when I came up to listen to the new Anton speakers, it just blew me away immediately. So our first interaction was me getting the opportunity to meet you and see how much of a warm-hearted individual you are.
Thanks, Chris. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself. I understand you have a military background from the Air Force.
Yes. I was born and raised in South Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And as far back as the age of 7, I had a love of music. I actually played the violin starting out in elementary school and was a singer, and I recall winning 2 talent shows back to back, with a little small group that we had. So I kind of educated to the middle school where I actually picked up the bass guitar, and that's when I really fell in love with music. And I had quite a good ear for sound, so I kind of knew that I always wanted to play the hardest tracks that I could find. One of the things I regretted was I didn't take the opportunity to learn how to read and write music. But all through high school playing music, I had a 13-piece band and played bass and was the lead singer. And when I didn't get a scholarship for basketball, I decided to join the United States Air Force. After 22 years of Air Force, how time flies, I got the opportunity to kind of shift gears for my next transition in life. But all throughout the process, my love of music, never left me. And actually, within that career, as a young airman, I had a dear friend of mine that actually introduced me to jazz, and I was stationed in Kaiserslautern, Germany at the time, and there was a place called Mainz-Kastel, and it was a fascinating place because it had some of the best audio equipment that was being, shipped from Germany over to the United States. So I guess a lot of people was really getting introduced to high-end audio at that point, and that was somewhere around 1983. And actually, I remember, while in Mainz-Kastel, looking at a piece with your name on it, Mark Levinson. So I know how far back this goes.
When you left the Air Force, I understand you started to work for Lockheed Martin.
Yes. I started working for Lockheed Martin from a logistics perspective. I was always fascinated with fighter jets, and during my tenure in the Air Force, I supported, F-15 fighter jets logistically to make sure that they continued to fly. And the technology, that they had just fascinated me. But when I started working for Lockheed Martin as part of the new F-22 Raptor program, that kind of gave me the understanding of what real technology was all about. It was engineering and technology like no other in the world. And I kind of, compared that to high-end audio because I was always looking, for a challenge. I was always looking for the best. So working with Lockheed Martin gave me that opportunity to be a part of something very special.
Amazing story. Maybe you could tell the story of how you got your Anton system there.
Well, I would say that when I got the opportunity to come to see you and your wife and have the opportunity to be a part of a listening session, I remember one individual walking out of the room when I was on my way in, and his words were, "You're in for a big surprise." And I said, "Really?" So when I got in there and got situated, I took the center seat because I wanted to make sure that, of what I wanted to hear. Knowing the way my listening ear was, I wanted to make sure that what I hear was true in terms of the type of audio sound that I want to hear based on it being lifelike. I've been to quite a few folks' homes, had the opportunity to listen to systems from 10,000 to almost a million. And the amount of components that people put together in terms of trying to get the best quality sound, it just kind of blew me away. But when I sat down and I heard the first couple notes of this Anton system, I kind of knew right then and there that what I was listening to was something special.
And then we made a project to get it over to your house. The last night I was there, I remember that, getting a couple of SUVs and taking everything out to
Yes.
your home.
Yes, that was interesting, coming to pick them up and everything, and I kind of felt actually good because of the simplicity of it. It wasn't like I was purchasing something and I had to bring 10 or 15 boxes to my home. It was a set of speakers, and the Maria 350 amplifier. And that was more simplified for me, for us to get it into the SUVs and over to my home versus having to come over with a much larger truck. Um, and then of course, once you graced us with your presence and the honor of setting them up, it took 40 minutes, and that was amazing right out the box. To take that short of a time span to set these speakers up, and we began listening to music, and once again, it sounded even sweeter, once we set them up in my living room.
I understand you had a 3-day festival of listening in your home, and you invited members of the audio club to come over. Could you tell us about that?
Sure. Well, I thought that for me to give something back to the club, as one of the newest members, I wanted to volunteer to allow those that didn't get the opportunity to hear the Daniel Hertz Anton system, and some of the ones that actually wanted to hear it a second time. They wanted to see what it sounds like in more of a normal living environment or room, to see if they hear a difference or how much better does it get. So I volunteered, and I decided to do a 3-day event, from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I set up 2 sessions per day. I had my lovely fiance assist me. We were able to put out some food and beverages, and it was quite organized. And I tell you, having 4 to 6 people at a time in each session come over, when they sat down and we started going through various tracks, that I was playing, and then I've allowed them to participate by, offering up a couple of their favorite tracks. I will tell you, for 3 days, I was observing the looks on their faces and the comments that I was receiving from them. They were all in awe. They were fascinated by the deep bass that the Antons display, the high, efficiency that it displays. So, I mean, I expected nothing less, and I kind of start feeling good about myself and my ears, realizing that I made one of the best decisions in my life because everyone loved it.
Good to hear. What what were some of the comments that you remember the best?
There was the comments that, this is the best sounding speaker I've heard in a long time. I've heard the words excellent, amazing, fantastic. The bass was like nothing else that they've heard. There was a track, the poem of the Chinese drum. And I played that, throughout the weekend, and everyone that heard it, they were floored, because, we ended up getting up to 99 or 101 dB, right here in my living room. And, the details of it was so crisp and clear that it just kind of blew everybody away because, and I made the comment that I know it would be kind of difficult to go home and turn your volume up, this loud without blowing a woofer, tweeter or something, So they appreciated the idea of being able to hear it on the Antons and the range that these speakers have. And it would be even better, based on the power of this Maria 350 amplifier. So a lot of the comments that I received from most of the guys were very favorable when they left here, of course, in addition to the comments they made about the food.
Thanks. Tell me your thoughts about the different kinds of people that you think might be coming to see your showroom in Dallas. I know you have some thoughts about, different groups of customers, different groups of people that you might like to invite. Can you tell us something about your thoughts?
Sure, that's a great question, Mark. The way I feel about music and its presentation, and having the opportunity to not only listen to the Daniel Hertz system, but to have the new Antons right here in my living space, I always envisioned being in a position where you could have someone over and your music and the equipment kind of blends in, with the decor. So based on that reason alone, I always envisioned that if I was going to be a person to advocate, be an ambassador of people having beautiful music within their home, it would be those that have a love of music first and foremost. You have to really appreciate excellent, live like music. And the other part of that is, I want it to be available not just to men, but to women, because I feel women have a very good ear for sound, and they too deserve the opportunity to be a part of something, that's so special. We as men, we look at it as a hobby for the most part, but to be in a position to offer it up to elegant homes, where I can attract interior designers, where I can attract, custom home builders, where I can attract some of the best athletes, around the country and around the world, to be able to introduce them to the Daniel Hertz experience. I think that would be great. Being here in Dallas as a representative, I believe it will do very well because there are a lot of excellent music lovers here in the Dallas Fort Worth area and the whole surrounding Texas area. And I believe that once a person has the opportunity to sit and listen, they will make up their own mind in terms of what they hear, because it is at a point where it's lifelike. It's like a live performance that you're hearing right there in your living space, and it could be set up in any room and aligned with the decor of that room. So I feel that going down this path, this is something that could be offered to the Dallas community as a whole, and it would probably take off, fairly well, because I have a passion for music all my life. And I believe I have, a very good ear for sound. And I would like to be in a position where I could offer that up to those that are looking for the truest and purest in audio sound. I've heard a lot of different audio systems, and I can kind of see that this new technology far outweighs, the old technology. And when it comes to high-end audio, it's almost like comparing it to the FIFA Cup, which is going on right now. And we're sponsoring it here in Dallas Fort Worth as well. The FIFA Cup connects people from around the world. And I believe Daniel Hertz and the beautiful systems that they offer, and with the class of the systems, will do the same.
Maybe could you say something about what you think is the difference between typical high-end audio and Daniel Hertz?
Sure. I think with typical high-end audio, for many years, we've been conditioned to think and believe that the more components that you have, the better. It's not as simple as, an amplifier and a set of speakers. Usually you have to start adding in different components, at different levels, at different price points, whether it be DACs and streamers and network servers and power conditioners. And then, of course, not to mention all of the cabling that it takes, to manage those systems. And when you look at it, and I started going down that path, where you're looking to have the best. But as you're looking to get there, you end up spending so much more money to get to the point that once you get there, you wonder if you're even satisfied. Now, the difference in that, to me, being old technology and Daniel Hertz and the concept of minimalistic is that not only is it going to take less components, excuse me. When you plug it up and you hear the sound, it sounds a lot more livelier than the digital audio that I've been listening to all these years, to the point where best way I can describe it is if I'm a lover of vinyl music. So when I put on an LP, I want to hear the sound or the track sounding as close as possible, to that analog pure sound. And I wasn't getting that when it comes to digital, of course, without adding in so many different components to try to get as close as possible. But now with the Daniel Hertz system, no matter what I play, whether it's a LP, whether it's a CD, or whether it's streaming, I get the quality of sound that I was looking for as close as possible to pure analog.
Do you think some of the guys in the club are thinking about Daniel Hertz? What do you think is on their mind?
You bet. I think that based on having the opportunity to hear it, most of them really enjoyed what they were listening to. And I think I asked the question a couple times in terms of the stress factor or the fatigue. Did it sound fatiguing, or did it allow you to just sit and listen to the speakers and hear, the best quality sound that you can hear? Now, a lot of times it gets to a point where, when you've invested so much time and money, in audio, there's hard decisions, that have to be made. For me, I was headed down that path. I've got 4 different systems set up in different rooms. And since I just retired from Lockheed Martin, I was in the process of getting ready to go down a path of spending, thousands of dollars, to build up this massive system. And when I got the opportunity to listen to the Daniel Hertz, that kind of stopped me in my tracks, and also got me now feeling as if though I can start, letting go of some of the old equipment, and components that I have because of what I'm hearing with the Daniel Hertz system. So I think quite a few of them may be contemplating whether or not, at some point in time, they may consider, a Daniel Hertz system, in addition to those that may be new to listening sessions.
Interesting. You were telling me that you had parties outside with live music, with people coming over to your house. Tell us something about your home and your land and those music parties.
Sure. I used to entertain, excuse me, large groups at a time. I think I have an older, modern style home that sits on about 3/4 of an acre. So my house is spaced, enough from my neighbors' homes. And most people, when they come here, they call it the unique house in the neighborhood. So when I've had different types of events, I've had a live jazz band perform on my side lawn. Based on the way my house is structured, I have a courtyard and a backyard that allows me to host up to 100+ people. So I had an all white affair here at my house where I had it catered, on my courtyard, and live jazz on the side lawn, and my backyard was set up very nice with white tablecloths with candlelight and everything, real classy, and then of course my my bar lounge area allowed for me to have a private bartender to serve everyone some beverages, cocktails. So I also hosted one of my daughter's weddings here, where we set up a beautiful canopy tent on the side lawn and, had a ceremony in the backyard, and, wedding planner came over and dressed up the house really nice. So this type of home allows me to be in a position where, it's a very nice living environment. And, you have some folks that would love to have the opportunity to be a part of the Daniel Hertz experience. I'm going to be working on my second system, for my theater room, in addition to the Antons that I have set up. So I feel that the open space that I have between my living, dining, and kitchen area, with nice high voltage ceilings, allows for even more of a better experience with the Anton system that I'm listening to.
Chris, you and I had talked a little bit about having philanthropic events like benefits.
Yes.
That we might be able to do some of those. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think that that would be something special. Proper planning, and if I have the right artist that comes in here, I would love the opportunity to bring that to Dallas, and to be able to do it here at my home, and maybe set up, on my side lawn, to have a mini concert on the lawn. That would include people coming to enjoy some hors d'oeuvres and wine, and listening to some great music, and even being able to have the opportunity to hear the Anton speakers, to allow them to be demonstrated, to show how lifelike they sound, in comparison to actually having a live artist, come to perform. And I would like the opportunity for those that are interested in the Daniel Hertz experience to come see me here in Dallas. I will make sure that, you get a chance to listen to some of the finest audio that you would have ever heard in your life.